Weaver, John C., Rosemead, California. It's a little after 10 o'clock in the morning. It's still January 20th, 2021. I mentioned about February. And the reason why I didn't exactly like to do about February, it's not because of school or study, no. Yeah, some of you folks actually tried to backtrack in some of my videos if it hadn't bored the living crap out of you. By the way, hit the subscribe, hit the like, dislike, comment. Give me an indication that you've actually watched this damn thing, and probably not throw up yet. Getting back to what happened in February. There are usually a couple of months in your life, let's see in general at this point, but for me it's specific, that represent the hardest times. And sometimes they fall within a certain season that makes the season worthless actually. But harder to hell to deal with in the first place, even though they're supposed to be meaning of something of great value to a lot of people. And mine at this point over here is simply this. You lose family and it's hard as hell to deal with and you have to move on. People keep saying you have to move on. But what if emotionally you're not ready to move on just yet? What if you're just clinging on, just to cling on? I'm not trying to say a Star Trek reference here either. What I'm trying to say is, what happens if the loss and the grief and the pain are so much that there's nothing else to live for but that, and you can't see past the logic that's in front of you? Case in point, my own damn thing. If some of you actually tried to stomach some of the videos I've done, and you probably know the reason why I'm trying to say something about this, because of death in the family. Many deaths in the family. Growing up, you had to deal with a lot of loss. You had to deal with a lot of loss of life. You had to deal with loss of favorite aunts and uncles and grandparents. And it usually piles up on people. But what really gets to a person at this point over here is when you start dealing with the loss of your own immediate family members. That's the hardest damn thing to deal with. It is extremely hard to deal with, and especially when you're so close to them that you can't see past the pain. You can't see the future at this point over here. You can't see the future events that's happening in front of you. Some people are trying to say, look, it's not so bad. We're going to get through this. And you're going to live. You're going to survive. And it's going to be all right. And you can't get past the pain. I'll say it in general. But I'm also saying to myself specifically. I lost my mother. And it was basically her time. She had started her death spiral several years in the making. She lost the last of her own siblings and very favorite niece and a few others that really meant closeness to her and to our family. Now my mother had disintegrated slowly but surely right in front of us, me and my brother. The pictures that you see in the background, hutch right there. My mother and my brother. The schmuck on the top is. And there's my brother. That's my mother, Mary Ann. And David. Ma was losing it mentally and physically. She had business and it went under. It wasn't a business. She was dealing with a lot of people dying on her that she just gave up on a lot of things and it took a toll on her. Finally, I guess she just willed herself to be with her family. So February 1st through February 19th had become a royal nightmare for my brother and me. And not to mention for my mother. Because 19 days of dealing with life support wasn't life. It was just existence, and she was just existing there in limbo. her body was dying. It just didn't realize that the soul had already left and her brain was already dying out. And by the time the 19th hit, in February, the day was out like it is outside, cloudy, not rainy. I'd be surprised if we get rain today. Maybe the form of my mother's tears, probably. She always did like this kind of weather. Cloudy and rainy. This girl's got rain on this cloudy. There's certain levels of different types of clouds that she would enjoy outside. So those kind of clouds. And it was raining that day. She died in Antelope Valley Hospital in Lancaster, California, February 19th. Her body gave out. His soul had already left. We didn't even realize it. She had already gone. She had already left and had to struggle to stay back. She didn't want to. She got told to. Just my brother and I could deal and cope, I guess. And she already left the room. My brother and I had been under the illusion that she was going to survive. She didn't. So yeah, February was the hardest month to deal with. And what really made the winter season the theoretical most joyous holiday, because it was cold, wintry, it meant Christmas, it meant Thanksgiving, it meant family gatherings, it meant family. And the problem of it is, when family is no longer there, the holiday season becomes meaningless. I'm talking about this in January at this point over here, because we're coming up to the point, I'm coming up to the point where I'm dealing with my mother's death next month. In a few short weeks, it starts the process, and I'm not going to be happy with this. In the meantime, life goes on. September comes around, several months, and I'll be starting the process. Winter month becomes really a month of coldness, of death and disease, apparently. My brother dies from his own medical conditions getting the best of him, and he overlooks in an ambulance on the way between home and also the Antelope Valley Hospital. And I had been my brother's caregiver for that one as well. It starts off the season, and mine ends off the season. So wintertime becomes the season for me to struggle like crazy through the emotions. Afterwards, March through August, it's just trying to cope and just live life somewhat. You go through school, then you go through vacation, and vacation you go through the emotional stress because there's nothing else to keep your brain occupied. But this is what happens. This is real life. Despite all the political chaos you'd see, despite all the COVID nightmare nonsense going on, besides the job losses or the climate going hell in a handbasket this point over here, other nations plotting to destroy our country, and God knows what else happening at this point over here. These are the issues that I had to deal with. Possible loss of apartment if I don't keep the place the way it's supposed to be. Or keep up with the rent. My own particular ailments I still have to deal with. And not willing to face them or even deal with them, but I have to. I still want to live long enough. Not to mention facing, it's not the big 5-0, it's the big 5-5. It's the mileage trip. At this point, I got to deal with it next week. That's scary enough as it is for me. Well, probably next week. No, it's coming up in next week. Because I got to learn how to live with a milestone that tells me that I lived about 55 years. And I don't know how much longer I've got left. I'm supposed to take it a day at a time. You tell a kid that you're supposed to be taking it a day at a time, they won't even understand it. They know what tomorrow is. Until they actually face the time when they see no tomorrow. Because tomorrow is always uncertain. If they had been in a situation, if they put it in the shoes I've had, tomorrow is a scary time because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And you get older and you start to live longer, you start to get more jaundice, and everything else becomes, it's just another day. But this is me being melancholy at this point over here, trying to explain what goes on in my head. Depressed as hell, not schizophrenic, but dealing with a hell of a lot of mental health issues these days. And not because of watching all the damn politics or anything else going on at this point over here. It's just trying to deal with life on life's terms at this point. A lot of people, if they're posting stuff on YouTube, they want likes, they want comments, they want subscriptions. They want to know if they're going to be popular at this point over here. I never cared about being popular. I never cared about that in the first place. I'm an isolator. But to be honest, I had to do this for therapy since last year. Year before, actually. I had to do something to get my head wrapped around a lot of things, a lot of emotions. Because if I didn't, it'd be tearing me apart, and I wouldn't be here doing this to bore the living crap out of people. So, I'm here to bore the living crap out of you. I'll keep this short. I just have to keep learning. I have to take it a day at a time, and a minute at a time on some occasions. Take it easy on myself. I will take it easy on myself. I'm a hard ass on myself. You can be too. Be hard on yourself if you need to or want to. I'm not saying it's a choice. I'm saying it happens. It happens to me too, because I think I'm one way or another, and I don't see myself as another way. But that's all right, because I'm trying to be honest with myself at this point over here. And I see myself as, maybe I am. But someone else may not see me as, they may see me as, ooh, then I'm really in trouble. We still have a long way to go in our lives, but we have to take it a day at a time. I'm grateful that I actually saw something positive happen over the last 4 years. It wasn't, and now maybe, just maybe, we can get things going these days. So, I will end this. If your day is still feeling like crap, do this. If your day is doing it better than that, you can still do it. And if they still don't understand, do this to them. Other than that,